the side on the dissident land. When the meat turns glamorous and the sheep are the lions, as the curtain falls and devotion is measured in blood, hear the monarch call for the lost and the bitter. Unending blazes light the sky, so bright, and thundering cries pierce the air with cries into the fire. I am leading the slain, stirring the fallen to the end. Into the fire I rain, drowning in flames, bruising empires on remains. I'm a walking corpse who abandoned humanity's cause to become the god of harm, to divide and devour. Seek among the bones for the ones who confronted my hate are the sand of ghosts, even smothering venom. Unending blazes light the sky, so bright, and thundering cries pierce the air with cries into the fire. I am leading the slain, steering the fallen to the end. Into the fire I rain, drowning in flames, bruising empires on remains. You could be someone lost, you could be a dearest friend, but compassion is the strength in you and raised to be a man. And sometimes when you're alone, you despise who you became. And I see the next in line, just hoping to become the world is so fragile. Thank fate, you don't know. Every step that you take, I will be in your shadow. You conquer your world, careful but clear. Vivid horizon, a blackening breeze. And all that matters lies in you. Not always can I watch your step. The distant light will always shine it. Helps you to fight back. And all that matters lies in you. Not always can I watch your step. The distant light will always shine it. Helps you to fight back. Generous heart, caring and honest, that should be of heart.
A shadow born of lightning, a whisper in the night. They called me death itself, a predator's flight. Yet here I stand, bound by scars and flame, a silent witness to this world's disdain. I watched his heart break, a boy cast aside. The echoes of his pain became my guide. Wounded wings brought me to the ground, and in his trembling hands a bond was found. We were hunted by fear, scorned by their cries, two outcasts who dared to defy the skies. Together we rose against their bitter lure, yet peace they rejected, they wanted war. He gave me freedom, I gave him my trust. Now we return to balance the unjust. From silence I strike, with fire I defend the outcasts of this world who found their end. A flame without sound, a vengeance untold. In the ashes, a story of a bond turned cold. They mocked the dreamer, they cursed his plea to see beyond the chains of their legacy. Their weapons tore skies, their hate stained the land, and so we answered, a dragon at his command. I saw the spark within his eyes ignite, a fire of fury born from the night. We lead the storm, we ride the gale, for in their fear they forced this tale. They feared his heart, they feared my roar. Now they'll face what they chose to ignore. From silence I strike, with fire I defend the outcasts of this world who found their end. A flame without sound, a vengeance untold. In the ashes, a story of a bond turned cold. I never saw battle, I never craved this fight, but in the dark I became his light. The skies once sang of harmony and grace, now they burn with the echoes of this place. He was my rider, my other, my kin, but vengeance has poisoned the dream within. The path we chose, the storm we ignite, is born of love, yet ends in night. From silence I strike, with fire I defend the outcasts of this world who found their end. A flame without sound, a vengeance untold. In the ashes, a story of a bond turned cold, cold.
eyes remember what the ground forgets. A dream once alive, now drowned in regrets. Together we burned, together we soared. Now only silence remains as the final chord.
just could not believe what you're seeing in the
waves merge right above your head that night, when you were resolved as never before, recalling all the things he said, and the light was getting closer and closer. Get me out, wrong soul, blood bleeding, wanted to raise the fire. Get lost, flame crossed, oh, not failing, wanted to raise the fire. Get me out, wrong soul, blood bleeding, wanted to raise the fire. Get lost, flame crossed, oh, not failing, wanted to raise the fire. Now you take a second breath, and it hurts when you don't feel your body. Everything remains unsaid. There's no tear trailing down your face anymore, and memories reappear too soon. Your mind is trapped in hopelessness, and again you're dreaming of a better place to be. It's getting closer and closer. Get me out, wrong soul.